Underworlds fans, AdamHarry back again with another unboxing, and today we have the brand new Warhammer Underworlds Nightvault. Again, this is the core set, or second edition core set for Warhammer Underworlds. So the first core set was Shadespire, and today we have Nightvault. So this is going to add some new mechanics to the game, 2 new warbands, and a ton of new cards. We're going to be going through the contents of the box today. If you haven't played this game at all, it is an arena combat, fast-paced arena combat game according to Games Workshop. It takes place on 2 hex boards. You can see them here. They can slide around too. It's kind of fun. And you're fighting over objectives that determine who wins the game. You want a first person to get the requisite amount of glory, aka victory points in the game, wins. That said, it's a miniatures combat game with deck building and dice. It's a ton of fun. So, that said, let's pop it open here. We've got the rulebook, obviously. We'll flip through this here in a moment. We've got the Learn to Play booklet as well, and we'll go through that here in a sec. Instructions on how to build everything. We've got the new game boards, which we'll open that up as well. Also in the box, we've got the new warband, and I believe these are called the Stormsire's Cursebreakers. They are led by one of the Sacrosanct Chamber evocators named, of all things, Stormsire. So we'll get to their cards in a second. And then we have the Thorns of the Briar Queens. Yeah, that's what they're called. These are a Night Haunt warband. So again, it's kind of a Sacrosanct Chamber here, and then the Night Haunt warband here. We'll take a closer look at these here in a second. Just keep going through what's in the box. We have a couple of decks. This is for the Stormsire's Cursebreakers. Then we've got extra cards, literally extra cards, and then also Thorns of the Briar Queen. So those 3 decks are included. We got a little Shadespire, the Mirrored City. This is a sample chapter from Josh Reynolds' novel. We get some plastic bags, always very helpful for tokens and other accoutrements that will be in the box. We've got dice. This game does have the standard dice, and as you can see, there are 3 more magic dice. We'll go over that system here in a sec. And then, of course, we've got next steps. Here are the sprues. Again, we'll start with those. These are Stormsire's Cursebreakers. They are led by Averon Stormsire, and they include 3 models: Rastius the Charmed and Emis Dawnguard. Those are the 3 characters in this warband. You can see there are 3 bodies there. This is the push fit plastics as well. You'll see there are peg holes to get everything situated correctly. Really highly detailed. They have that dark blue plastic that we've seen the colored plastic before from Games Workshop for various Stormcast Eternals push fit models. Same good quality plastic. I do recommend using some type of plastic glue when assembling these models to make sure that they're not going to pop apart. Next up, we have the Thorns of the Briar Queen. Their sprue here. There are actually 7 different models included on these 2 little mini sprues, which is pretty impressive when you think about it. It's got this kind of sickly green look to them, as you can see there. Obviously, we're going to have the Briar Queen. She's the leader of the warband. She's also a level 2 wizard. More on that later. We've got Varkav the Cruel. He's got like a candlestick and has a cage on his head. And then we also have the Ever Hanged, which is another one of these ghosts who apparently has been hanged. I'm not sure the correct word for that, but they have been hanged. That model right there with the noose around the neck. Then there are 4 kind of generic chain rasp models included in this unit as well. I'm looking forward to this, to adding this warband to my personal collection. I have Night Haunts as an army, so I'm looking forward to seeing what their eventual rules will be for Warhammer Age of Sigmar. So that's that sprue. Again, very spindly like the previous ones, but if you use some good plastic glue, you should be a-okay with these models. Next up, we're going to go over the decks. This is the Stormsire Cursebreakers set of cards for their respective decks. Now, it has in the box included is the default Stormsire's Cursebreakers deck. Inside that pack, you'll find your 3 character cards, which these are the uninspired versions of them, and then when they become inspired, you flip them over and they get unit buffs or model buffs. And you also have your power deck and your objective deck. Now, if you're unfamiliar with the game, you're going to be drawing and replacing objective cards during the game. When you capture an objective, you can score them and get the amount of glory you need for whatever reason. Most games, I believe, you're going to be going to 5 glory, but you can also spend glory to get upgrades as well. In the power deck, these are going to be cards you're going to be playing during the game to have other in-game effects. Just some of the examples here. There's also upgrade cards. This is our spell cards, which we'll go over here in a sec. There's upgrade cards, which have the gear in the corner, and you can purchase those throughout the game as well. Real fast on the magic cards. These are new gambit spells. The way the spells work is they require a successful number of icons based on the spell, and then the spell effect goes off. The number of dice you roll with the new magic dice, again these nice blue dice here, are based on the wizard level. So for example, Stormsire, the Stormsire here is a level 2 wizard, indicated by that number right there. Rastius is a level 1, and Dawnguard is a level 1 as well. So that's how many dice you roll, and you just try to get the equal number of spell requirements there. So this one looks like the lightning ability, or lightning icon. There's also, I think, a focus or another type of icon. I'm not sure the name of it yet. I have to double check that. But anyway, you need to match the icons to get the spells, and then again, claim your objectives to win the game. Next up, we're going to go over the Thorns of the Briar Queen deck. First, we're going to start with the model cards, just because there's 7 of these to look at real fast. Most of these cards, the chain wraps, are going to be pretty much identical. They do have some slight differences in the weapon stats, so do keep that in mind when you're playing. The Everhanged has a slightly stronger attack as well than compared to the generic chain rasps. And then there's also Varklev the Cruel, which has a pretty unique ability. He can pull all friendly chain rasps up to 2 hexes. He adds a lot of mobility to this army. He's kind of the linchpin unit, or linchpin model for the army. And then of course the Briar Queen, she's got a really powerful, not really powerful, but she's got a really impressive whip attack as well. It's got some decent range on it, and again, with 3 dice and doing 2 damage, it's really not too bad. Once they become inspired, again, a little bit tougher, a little bit quicker, not too crazy. But also, to become inspired by them, it only requires you to be near an enemy fighter for the entire force. So, yeah, not too bad. But yeah, they're surprisingly fast mobile army. They also have an ability that allows them to basically ignore enemy models and terrain and hex effects, so they can be pretty handy. Also included is the objective deck for the Thorns of the Briar Queen, and their power deck as well. You can see here's a couple of different things showing off here. This is an army that does have magic. Again, the Briar Queen herself is a level 2 wizard, again indicated by that number there. And she does have access to spells. There's a couple of different gambit spells. For example, Rending Scream here does require 2 successful lightning bolts to go off. But it's a pretty potent ability, and then of course the different glory cards there as well. The last set of cards, of course, was the extra cards. A lot of these cards are going to be duplicates or doubles. There are some unique cards, excuse me, within the extra cards set. That's what you're going to use as you get more advanced as a player to swap stuff out, or if you want to run multiples of a card or whatever. Now, we're not going to spend a ton of time on these cards. If you're interested in learning more about these cards or any of the other 2 decks, you can always go to the Warhammer community website. There's a drop-down menu to check out Warhammer Underworlds as a game, and that has a full card library with the previous edition, previous set of cards. There's over 400 cards in that set, and there are 557 cards added with Nightvault as those warbands roll out. So that's why we're not going to go over all these cards. In this box, there's not the full set of cards, by the way. So as more warbands come out, more cards will be added to the card library over time. So keep that in mind. If there's a particular card you're looking for, they actually do say in the card library which set it is a part of. So you don't have to buy everything unless you just want to have the full 557 set worth of cards. All right, I've taken the plastic wrap off of the board sections, and it just occurred to me there's probably... Yes, so there are. There are the tokens also included in the game necessary for play. You've got your glory coins, which are double-sided. Well, there we go. There's actually another set. That's why. But the glory coins are double-sided. But we'll show these off here in a second a little bit more. I wanted to talk about the boards. These boards are your play boards, and it comes with two, because you need basically one board per number of players. So you can actually play up to 4 players if you choose to. These are hex boards. These are where you can deploy. That's what the icons are for, depending on how you do your layout. This game also introduces some new stuff into the game. The previous edition had blocked hexes, which those are back. There's also lethal hexes, which are these red borders. If a player moves a warrior or is knocked into there or as part of an attack or something like that, the warrior takes an additional 1 damage that counts as a separate source of damage from whatever attack may have pushed them in there. So that's what those are for. Once you get hit, though, you don't have to take any further damage. You can move out of the lethal hexes, no penalty. If you move back in, obviously later, you will get hit again. So that these boards again are double-sided. Here's the second board. You can see there are more blocked hexes as well, and you can flip it over. There's the lethal hexes. Yeah. Let's look at those tokens real fast. Again, there are 3 sheets of tokens, as we've discovered here. You've got different things. We'll focus on this one first. You've got all the different tokens you'll need, the different markers for whether you've charged or defended or blocked or readied or all that fun stuff. These are your different objective markers that you can use in the game. If they ever get destroyed, you just flip them over. So that's the first sheet. Here's the second sheet, and these do break apart. Again, just more of the same, more tokens, more objectives. This is objectives 5, 6, 7, and 8. So again, more glory coins there, and then again, last set. You can add these to be lethal hexes. Another interesting thing that they've added to the game, I want to focus on this hex right here. This is actually the scatter effect. There are effects in the game that will cause things to scatter. You basically roll the dice, the attack dice, based on the scatter. So in most situations, you're actually going to be rolling 3 dice, and you're going to put them in order, and that's going to form the quote chain. And this shows the direction those whatever just scatters. So if you roll this 1 assist, it's going to go that direction. If you roll a crit, it's going to go that direction, etc. And then you'll do that 3 times according to the length of the said chain. So that's how that one works, and it doubles as an objective destroyed marker if you need that as well. The last few things we're going to look at here are the instructions. We're going to blow through this stuff really fast. First off, we have the how to build instructions. Pretty self-explanatory. It's 1 sheet, front and back. It has all the instructions on how to put together the models. Again, pretty self-explanatory. They're not super complicated. They are push fit. I do recommend still using some plastic glue to actually fit them together, because that will lock everything in there, and also smoothen some of the lubrication as you're putting the pegs in the holes to make sure everything fits correctly. But before you add glue, dry fit first. All right. Next up is the Learn to Play booklet. This is where you're going to want to start before you get into the big rule booklet. Flipping through this real fast, it is a very, very brief introduction on how to do everything in the book, in the game, I mean. What all the dice are, what all the cards are, how to read your cards, what each section of the card means. We're not going to go through this in complete detail, but it's how to get started. It does go over combats and the different phases, and explains the battlefield. That actually brings us to our final thing today for Nightvault, which is the rulebook. The rulebook in total is 32 pages long, and that includes the reference section in the back. There's also a good chunk of the book dedicated to the lore and history of what's going on in the Mirrored City and what happened with the Nightvault opening up. This book is going to be the in-depth part that you're going to actually study and learn for the game mechanics. We're not going to go over the game mechanics in this video. Games Workshop has already put out a really great tutorial video of how to play this. We've also done a demo for the core game, so go check those out. You can find the video on our YouTube channel or on our main website at BoLS.net. Just search for BoLS Shadespire demo, it'll pop right up. Shadespire, of course, was the previous season, excuse me. A couple of big changes. Spells, that's one of the first things that's new in this season of the game. Gambit spell cards, it's pretty much read the card how it works. You're going to roll dice based on the spell power of the wizard, so there's their wizard level. A level 2 wizard's going to roll 2 dice, a level 3 wizard's going to roll 3 dice, level 1 wizard's going to roll 1 die to attempt spells. You're just trying to match the icons, so some spells require 1 icon, some spells require 2 icons. As long as you get the matching icons, the spell is successfully cast. And then you do what the card says. One catch is that if you ever roll 2 critical successes, a critical success, by the way, counts as either spell, or either icon, or whatever icon you need. If you get 2 critical successes, your caster does take a point of damage. That represents the powers of, space and time they're manipulating that are ripping them in shreds. So you take a point of damage. If the caster lives, you continue with the spell. So that's one of the big changes for spells. The lethal hexes are also introduced in this game. They weren't in the previous season. Those are the squares. I pointed those out earlier with the red hexes. If you get knocked into them or move into them, you take a point of damage. If you move out of them or pulled out of them, you don't take any further penalties. And then the last thing I wanted to cover in terms of new stuff is the scatter rules. So scatter is a new mechanic that's been added to the game. How this works: when you activate the ability with scatter, it'll say the word scatter and have a number behind it, or after it. That number represents the number of dice you're going to roll to measure the scatter. So let's take Chain Lightning, for example. That has a scatter value of 3. So when that spell is cast, you're going to get to use 3 dice. The first thing you're going to do is put down the scatter token. That template's going to tell you the orientation that it's going to scatter. Once it's been placed and you roll the dice, you cannot reorientate the scatter token. You can't move it at all. So you're going to roll your 3 dice for a Chain Lightning. Then you're going to actually you roll them all at the same time, and you actually pick the order in which they resolve. The active player does. You do that by taking the dice and placing it on the correct direction. In this case, you roll the hammer, so the hammer is straight ahead. So they put that dice there, and in this example, the swords, that's going to go to the left. So you can see you put the die in that hex there, and then the final one is another hammer, and it's going to go straight ahead. So it creates this little chain for the scatter effect. So just remember that once you place a template and once you roll a die, you cannot move the template, but you can change the template direction if you want to at a later, before you roll the die. So that's pretty much it. But again, the core rule book's 32 pages. It has a quick reference guide. Check out the demos. But yeah, that's pretty much it for Nightvault. That is everything in the box. Brand new season, brand new game. Not new game. Brand new season for a really great game. For this ultimate competitive miniatures game. Again, this is a new core set, so if you're looking to dive in or get started, pick this one up. If you already have a core set, you still probably want to get this one for the magic dice, the extra boards, and the 2 warbands included, so it's a pretty good value. I'm AdamHarry for BoLS. Thanks for watching. Click to subscribe. Check out more videos. And thanks for watching.